Hello, my name is Caspar for now. I'm from the German School of Journalism. I'm here at Berlin Foreign Policy Forum and I'm joined by Professor Dr. Jonathan Holslag from the Free University of Brussels. You're a professor for international politics. And my first question would be, we saw you on the panel. What do you think, which role is Europe going to play in the future in Asia?
Well, this is of course one of the main balancing exercises. On the one hand, we face up to this ring of fire that surrounds Europe. It's mostly its neighborhood, Northern Africa, the Middle East, Ukraine, and then a bit further away on the other end of the Eurasian continent there is Asia. So what is Asia going to do? Is it first of all going to continue to prosper and to rise? Is it going to rise peacefully? Is there going to be a sort of downturn economically? So that also is a big question mark, and I think the main challenge geopolitically is sort of to walk this line between the challenges in Asia and the challenges in our neighborhood. So my point of view first of all is, and I think that is critical, that Europe must have the ambition to uphold its model of integration, its social model, as a source of inspiration to countries in Asia, to countries closer to us. That's number one. Second, then I think High Representative Federica Mogherini made that very clear this morning. There has to be more coordination. It's fine that some member states want to play a greater role and take more responsibility, but we have to coordinate our assets. We shouldn't be too modest. Even in Eastern Asia, for most countries, we are still the biggest export market. We are still the biggest investors, the biggest source of aid. But we have to use that cleverly. Then also, I believe that we should sort of share some of our multilateral experience with Asia, but do so realistically. If they accept and adopt some of our standards, that's fine. If they don't do so, well, then we also have to anticipate such future. And then lastly, perhaps, it is my conviction that Europe has to sort of try to weigh on Asia, on the Asian power politics, on the Asian juggernauts through its neighborhood. If you look at the world from an Asian viewpoint, a Chinese viewpoint, so to speak, what's your weakest spot? That is exactly the long supply lines to the Middle East, to Africa, where the Chinese, the Indians, the Japanese have millions of expatriates, billions of investments. And I think if we can provide more security to that part of the world, ultimately we're going to be able to condition and to shape our partnerships with Asian countries.
So what's the ideal partnership? Is it China, is it Japan, or is it even some other player in Asia?
It's, I would say, a diverse array of partnerships. And I don't think we should sort of write China off as a partner. We have a lot of common interests with the country, but we should be more clever to make sure that it becomes a balanced, mutually beneficial partnership. Apart from that, we have to diversify. I think we have to work closer with India, we have to work closer with Japan, but also sort of understanding that often that is very difficult, that these countries too are not always very forthcoming. The partnership with the United States remains absolutely important, but if I were in the shoes of the new High Representative, for me the most immediate priority would be the strategic partnerships with the regional powers, with Turkey, even despite the difficult situation with Iran. And I think in the long run it's also going to be indispensable to have clearer understanding with Russia. So it's not a matter of either Asia or neighborhood, but it's a matter of priorities, and I think that is going to have to be thought over by the new team in Brussels.
Last question, which you already probably answered during the panel. Is there going to be a war in Asia in the near future?
My personal opinion is that it is very likely, and I'm an optimist by nature. It's not that I'm sort of drawing any pleasure from being the Cassandra and the prophet of doom when it comes to conflicts in Asia. But what disturbs me a lot is that on the one hand you have sort of this optimism and confidence at the level of officials and academics, and they say there is interdependence, there are dialogues, there is nuclear deterrence, so there is not going to be war, and reality on the ground. And what we see on the ground is still massive investments in military power, military capabilities, interdependence being extremely shaky and unequal also, and nationalism gaining ground very, very rapidly. And as long as these optimists at the top, so to speak, the leaders, do not have an expectation for the things that I observe as an academic and cannot explain me how they can improve it, I think that the trend of Asia is a trend of conflict, is a trend of polarization, and sooner or later this is going to result in fierce tensions and probably also armed conflicts.
All right, thank you very much.
My pleasure.